due to me being under the weather, we're via Skype with Killer Kyle, and today we're going to talk about the best and worst, well, our best and worst WrestleManias. Now, this technically doesn't mean it's a terrible WrestleMania, it's just our opinion, and that's basically all that matters.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I'm not quite sure how many of the best and worst is going to be on our list, but yeah, this is a first. So, let's just start with... yeah. What did you pick? Number one.
As for worst, it's interesting because I thought about all the WrestleManias and tried to go over all of them in my head, which is really interesting and kind of hard to do because there's 33 of these things.
Yeah.
So, what I've seen I've seen all of them literally, and I pretty much own a copy of all of them. Just over in my head about certain matches and WrestleManias as a whole, picking ones that I felt were the best was pretty easy. Ones I felt was the worst wasn't so easy for me because I guess I'm one of those people that, in order for it to be the worst, it'd have to be, either something really bad happened or, something for me to not like the show in general. And now there's not saying that, every WrestleMania was my favorite or every WrestleMania was the best, but I just really had a hard time finding WrestleManias that were the worst because I enjoyed pretty much every WrestleMania. So
that's gonna be
interesting.
Yeah. Well, I can always start off with my pick, I guess, because I have a couple. I'm not saying that these are terrible or the worst, but they're they could have improved, or that was just ideas that didn't work. So,
yeah.
We're gonna start off with WrestleMania 9. Because, so here's the thing. And this is the second WrestleMania that I saw as a kid. So, this kind of was a good idea. When you're a kid, you see things through different eyes. So I thought, well, this isn't bad, but when you really look at it, the matches were terrible. There was no winner, except for the main event, maybe, which was a complete botch. Or whatever. It really didn't impress me, the older I got. No, it was a good concept, but yeah, I didn't really care for it that much. Because, you have the returning Hogan and Beefcake, and they're going up against Money Inc., and then they don't win the titles. Okay, Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez was terrible because that was a good idea that just turned into Undertaker being chloroformed, and then, that was it. He was counted out, and then Perfect and Lex Luger, their feud basically kind of continued until WrestleMania 10, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't much care for it myself. And looking back at it anyways, having it at Caesar's Palace was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Regardless, that was basically all that was good about it.
Yeah.
So.
If you look at the aspect of it being at Caesar's Palace in Vegas, okay, that was cool. Having Bobby Heenan ride backwards on the camel, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was funny, actually.
Coming in on that bed thing. And then the Undertaker's entrance was pretty cool. And yeah, there was a few matches that didn't have a proper finish, which only led to the rivalry continuing on after WrestleMania 9 and one is WrestleMania 10 or whatever. But the whole thing with Hogan and the main event, well, he can be here or there, that. One thing I found interesting, though, was after they had Shawn Michaels and, was it Mr. Perfect? And they're out in the...
Oh, yeah. After the match.
After the match, they're in, like, the backstage area or whatever, and they're beating each other up some more. That was something that you didn't really see before, and started to see a little bit more of with certain things they did with later WrestleManias after that, but just the whole concept of them back behind the scenes, if you will, and continuing to fight made it interesting.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 9 as a whole, you could say, was well booked, and the matches were decent. It just would have been interesting and probably a little bit better if you had of indicated or was given insight as to why the match ended the way it did, or if you're going to have the rivalry continue, give something to lead into it other than just, okay, Giant Gonzalez chloroformed Undertaker, and so Undertaker won by count out, and then that rivalry continued into the next month or two, I think, or whatever it was. And then had the backstage thing with Shawn Michaels, and then having, well, even if you look at the one match with Doink and Crush, having the two Doinks was unique and interesting. It kind of made sense, but didn't really fully make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Having essentially two people playing the same character and beating up Crush, you know?
Yeah.
But like WrestleMania 9 as a whole was definitely not the best. Calling it the worst is, I guess, if you look at it that way, that's fine. For me, it was like I've seen that WrestleMania quite a few times, and I guess the more you look at it, the more you can kind of understand it. But
Yeah.
like you said, being 10, 12 years old, whatever, when that WrestleMania was on, and you first look at it, you're like, man, this kind of sucks. And then as you get older, you might go, oh, maybe it wasn't as bad as I actually thought it was.
Well, actually, that's quite the opposite of what I said. I was at 8 years old. And,
Yeah.
and yeah, well, I guess nothing really disappointed me that much back then, but looking back at it now, there was a few things that probably could have changed, but
Yeah.
it is what it is, really. I mean, you had some good feuds that you could have used properly, but it just didn't really work out, so...
Well, it's like I said, they were booked well, the matches were decent. It just really wasn't a whole lot of reasoning behind why some of the matches ended the way they did, and then when you look further into the feud, it's like, okay, now I guess it makes sense.
Right.
But at the time, you're like, okay, that match ended in a count out. Whoopee,
Yeah, no, I... Well, let's jump ahead to WrestleMania 25.
Okay.
And the anniversary of WrestleMania. And at the time, I was really happy. I guess I had a good day because we put it on disc from the PVR. And, watching it, it was fine for what it was. I think what really bothered me, and what bothers me a little bit now, is you had the Divas Battle Royal, and you had Santino and Drake win the match. And it was it was disgusting. You also had Kid Rock perform before that, and
Right.
it's nice to do Bob and a Bob because that's a given, that's how you start a Kid Rock show, but he goes into other songs, and it's like, it's WrestleMania, it's not a concert, so... And... Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean, you had Shawn Michaels and Undertaker.
Right.
That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
The second one was, I think, better, but... Well, I mean, the second one being because it was psychology was better. I'm trying to think about what else they had at WrestleMania 25. That's all I can remember. See, that's why I picked this, because it's hard to remember really what else happened.
Yeah, see, that goes to what I was saying earlier. When you've got 33 years of WrestleManias to go over in mind and try and be like, okay, I like this WrestleMania for X number of reasons. I didn't like this WrestleMania for X number of reasons, and so on.
Yeah.
And whether or not you've got a good list for WrestleManias you liked, and whether you've got a good list for WrestleManias you didn't like, and overall, it makes it really interesting.
Yeah. It is true. I mean, there's a lot more that I do like, and very little that I don't like, unfortunately. It's hard to, choose sometimes, because...
Yeah.
WrestleMania 25 wasn't all that bad.
No.
Again, a lot of stuff that could have been changed differently. You know, that's basically pretty much it. So, that's good.
I think probably the only thing that was worse than seeing Santino and Drew would probably seeing Pat Patterson and Joe Briscoe interact.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they're two old guys.
Yeah.
So. Well, let's look at another WrestleMania that was all hype, and I mean, for the most part, it was a good WrestleMania, but I think this was kind of the new format that we'd go on with WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
And I saw this with my friend when it happened. We were watching it, and before I was going, well, they had it in Madison Square Garden for WrestleMania 10. I wasn't impressed with the whole layout, which I'm a detailed person, so atmosphere, if the matches are going to be shit, then and then the atmosphere better be damn good. So when they finally presented the ring in the aisle way, I was very impressed by that. And again, it's another one of those some good matches and some bad matches that, you know, I think that you look at Trish Stratus turning on Chris Jericho was really good.
Yeah, that was...
After his match with Christian. Molly Holly shaving her head, that was good. I think the match that everybody talks about, that was complete bullshit. And it wasn't a terrible match, but it wasn't the greatest. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. You know?
Yeah.
I think that this show was... Well, you know what? It was good. I mean, it really jump-started John Cena's career, at least.
Yeah.
So we finished talking about WrestleMania 20, which was a good show. There's really not too many other WrestleManias that I didn't much care for, so let's just jump right into that was the best. Maybe you can agree with me on that. And I think let's start with WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 9 was the first WrestleMania that I saw. When I saw WrestleMania 8, I thought that it was probably the biggest, like, since WrestleMania 3, the biggest WrestleMania there was. Once again in Michigan. Well, wait, WrestleMania was in Michigan?
WrestleMania 8 would have been... I remember.
Well, I'll put it on the video anyways. But, I mean, you have two main events, and that just kind of... It's one of those things where I wish that they would have put Savage and Flair in the main event, but for some reason, they have to have Hogan, so...
Yeah.
But it's not just that, it's how it ended. I mean, okay, so Warrior comes back after Papa Shango makes his debut. And it's basically just a clusterfuck. Right. I think that, you know, Shawn Michaels making his singles debut against Tito Santana was really good. X-Man Tag Team was really good. Obviously, Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart, which I'm on the fence about, because this was like Roddy Piper's only WWE singles championship. I mean, we didn't know that at the time, but it's like it was pretty much what it was, and Bret Hart won, which was a good call. But I mean, what did you think of WrestleMania 8?
Yeah, having a double main event, that's one of those things that you don't see a whole lot of anymore. And I think when they had Warrior come back after like 5-6 years, whatever it was, they were trying to still have him be the same guy he was when he left, even though he
Had shorter hair. The
yeah.
worst makeup job I've ever seen. But, you know, him and Hogan basically posing in the fucking ring. It was kind of like, okay, so they faced each other at WrestleMania 6. Maybe it was cool to see them actually, whatever, do their thing, but anyways. So that was basically WrestleMania 8. Let's go actually 10 years later, when we're at the Skydome. Yes, it's still the Skydome to me, damn it. And you talk about co-main events, and people are going to say, well, yeah, but Chris Jericho and Triple H should have been in the main event, and it's true, but, and I said this before, I was on a poster.
Hogan and Rock.
So, it would have made sense to have Icon versus Icon finish the show.
Yeah.
Because here you have a guy who defined the WWF in the 80s versus the guy who defined the WWF in the 2000s. And it's like, what? How awesome would it have been, you know? And it was a good match anyways. It was certainly better than Austin versus Scott Hall, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But that's just how it was. And then you have Edge versus Booker T, and Edge being from Toronto and actually winning. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was still awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you have Trish Stratus, who didn't win the title, even though she was decked out in the Maple Leaf. And it was William Regal versus Rob Van Dam for the Intercontinental title. Interesting that a year earlier, William Regal fought for the title, and here he's the champion. So that's interesting in itself. And it's a shame that I never got to go.
Yeah.
My older brother and his friends went, and I think he said that the seats weren't that good, but I'll have to double check. So, and I knew a couple people that went, but it was expensive, I'm sure. And it's a shame that all these years, there's no WrestleMania coming back to the Skydome.
Yeah. You'd think at some point there would be a bid put in by Toronto to have WrestleMania come back, but it seems like the bigger stadiums have been getting WrestleMania lately. I mean, 32 was at the AT&T Stadium, and you have Orlando, and then you got the Superdome. So, I mean, as much as it would be cool to see WrestleMania in Toronto again, it may not happen.
No, unfortunately not. And it sucks. I mean, even if you had it at the Scotiabank place in Ottawa, which I don't think Ottawa's big enough for WrestleMania, I don't know. But anyways, it's a real shame, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of, a year before, let's talk about WrestleMania 17. We have one of the best feuds, Austin and Rock too. And I know I didn't put WrestleMania 15 on because that was a good show, not good enough. I mean, you had some good matches, and it was my 9th grade year, so I was an Austin fan. There was a lot of Rock fans. This one was Austin would become heel, and it was a good way to have Vince go, oh, you want shocking? I'll give you shocking. They have Vince lose to Shane in the street fight, which was awesome. So obviously you didn't know what was going to happen until the main event. What was interesting to me was on the bus the next day, and my friend Marty, who was an Austin fan, turned his back completely, and because Austin became Vince's little lapdog.
Yeah.
So we didn't speak for a few months, and that was interesting, but I kind of knew what he meant afterwards when Austin jumped ship to the Alliance. But you had Undertaker versus Triple H in a Falls Count Anywhere match. That was awesome. You had the gimmick battle royal. William Regal versus Y2J for the title, Intercontinental title. It's a WrestleMania that people said, why so many titles on the line? And like I said in the last video that we did, it's the biggest show of the year. You have to have all the titles.
Yeah, for sure.
It is what it is. But, what did you think of WrestleMania 17 in general?
I liked it. It was really good. The gimmick battle royal, as entertaining as it was, I guess it was one of those things where they just needed something to make everybody go, oh yeah, I remember these guys have friggin' Iron Sheik and Earthquake and Brother Love and
Tugboat.
Tugboat and Jim Cornette.
Nikolai Volkov coming out to the Finnish national anthem.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, that's when WrestleMania finally came back to stadiums or bigger arenas, That was pretty cool, and one of the best WrestleManias out there. And I don't know what this WrestleMania is going to bring. I hope that it's just as good as it was last year. But while we're on this subject, last year, I really enjoyed it. It was a great atmosphere. You had a few matches that were iffy. Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton was a little corny, but everyone wanted to see John Cena versus Randy Orton, but that never happened. It pissed me off a little bit, but Undertaker's supposed last match against Roman Reigns. I was just watching this week in WWE, and I'm going, why the hell are we saying Undertaker again? Everybody keeps saying they don't want American Badass. At this point in time, I think that needs to happen. We're done with the dead man gimmick. Let's watch American Badass. Like, do you not think that last year was a good send-off for Undertaker? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was basically like, okay, Roman beat me pretty soundly. Roman beat me fair. He's the new big dog, if you will. So I'm just going to kind of go off into the sunset, so to speak, and that's that. But I guess people have been clamoring for Taker to come back, and whether or not he goes along with the American Badass routine or not, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, we still got a week out, so...
Yeah, we'll see. By the way, the impression that John Cena did with the cutthroat, nothing made John Cena look old when he did that whole thing in front of the camera. But yeah, we'll see what happens on Monday, because we're still a week away, you know. But this was a good show. I mean, like I said, as much as the New Day are a corny stable, they're still fun. You know,
Yeah.
they're coming out in the Dickie D and just talking to the crowd, and the Hardy Boys coming back was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I mean, I think that, yeah, of course, these matches could have been better, but it was a great WrestleMania. Well, one of the great WrestleManias. So, let's talk about one of the biggest WrestleManias, because we talked about a lot of good ones, and this one was really legendary for the slam heard around the world. WrestleMania 3. And what a historic night that was. You have probably two of the best matches of the night. Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan, and Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And yeah, I could argue which one made the match of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that this was nearing the end of Andre's wrestling career, obviously, because during the match he was in a lot of pain. Of course, the famous quote from Gorilla Monsoon, the irresistible force spinning the unmovable object. Which one did you like the most?
They're both really good matches. The thing about Macho Man and Steamboat that made it so good was just I guess you can call it the amount of false finishes there was.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was a lot of influence in a lot of wrestlers, like Chris Jericho, who talks about how him and his friend would reenact the match, move for move. And that's one of the reasons why I really love the Intercontinental title, is because you have great matches like that. Macho Man and Steamboat. You have HBK and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. A lot of good matches involve the Intercontinental title. But, I mean, this was good. We also had Bob Uecker, Alice Cooper, can't remember who else. Jake the Snake talks about after the match with the Honky Tonk Man, the role switch.
Right.
So, what match do you think drew the most? because they're the two most popular matches of the night anyways.
Yeah, if you ask a lot of people what their favorite match from WrestleMania 3 is, they probably either say Steamboat and Savage or Hogan and Andre.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that made the match with Steamboat and Savage so good was just how well they worked together in the ring, their chemistry in the ring together, but not only that, just the overall emphasis on who would win and just the number of false finishes they had. Now, the thing that made the match with Andre and Hogan so memorable was obviously the slam, but this watching that match with Steamboat and Savage and just their chemistry together is amazing.
Yeah. Even the storyline that led up to it, like, Hogan and Andre have been wrestling since the AWA, and they were friends up to the point where I guess Bobby Heenan got a hold of Andre and supposedly brainwashed him, and Andre wipes crucifix off for Hogan and makes him bleed. So, of course, Hogan accepts. You know, this is kind of, and it's great psychology. Hogan going, "Why you doing this, man? Come on, come to your senses." So, and I mean, it's obviously, I kind of wish that Andre would have won, because, you know, him having a title, I mean, you can arguably say that he beat Hogan with the two Hebners, but he gave the title to Ted DiBiase, which led to WrestleMania 4. So, it's still a great WrestleMania, and yeah, I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there it is.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 22 was good. You have Shawn Michaels versus McMahon. Vince McMahon, who's been in 3 WrestleMania matches. And this one was cool. I mean, I always love hardcore matches, or Falls Count. Well, it wasn't Falls Count anymore. You've got Edge versus Cactus Jack, or Mick Foley. I think it was just Mick Foley. And
Yeah.
it was a taste of, you know, let's see if Edge can go hardcore. And sparing Mick Foley through the flame table. And, you know, the thumbtacks, the blood just dripping down his eyeball, which was freaky enough.
Yeah.
Those are just some of the highlights, you know. And actually, no, I think this was in Chicago.
I believe so.
So, yeah, it was John Cena versus Triple H. And an appearance by CM Punk, who was a gangster, which is awesome. The whole Chicago Al Capone thing. So, I mean, that's what's
Another thing I liked in particular is probably one of my favorite moments was near the end. I enjoyed WrestleMania 4.
Yeah, very much, you know, a good style to go by with the whole competition. You're having Macho Man Randy Savage go through all these guys just to go through Ted DiBiase to get the title. You know, to me, that was awesome. And I wish they would go do that again, you know, have a tournament. This was, of course, leading up to the next year of WrestleMania 5 when he faced Hogan, but it was cool to see him capture the WWF title for the first time. And
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if that's when the Eagle Skull belt came to be. I don't think so. I just think that it was a cool format, and I kind of wish they would bring that back.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think we're gonna, you know, yeah, you know what the hell I'll talk about. Go back to one of the least favorite WrestleManias. You know, going to WrestleMania 19 in Simcoe Field. I actually contemplated whether I wanted to put that in the best or the worst list, because you have one of your main titles, your tag team championship, with Kane and Rob Van Dam on a pre-show. Yeah. But you have good matches like Hulk Hogan and Vince. You have, well, I mean, Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle was kind of okay, except for the botched ending.
Yeah.
That could have very much ended Brock Lesnar's career. But, so here's the thing, too. It's matches that didn't make sense. I can't remember if it was a take match or not. It had Benoit, Rhino, World's Greatest Take Team, I think it was. Haas and
Right.
Benjamin. Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho at the time, I mean, put those two together was great, but I didn't think it was a good match. At the time, of course, as I got older, I appreciate what it was back then now, if that makes any sense. And then, of course, Limp Bizkit, but Limp Bizkit sucks. You had Undertaker was supposed to be in a tag team match, and it didn't start off that way. Nathan Jones got attacked by the FBI, the full-blooded Italians, and then it was basically a handicap match with Big Show and A-Train.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Nathan Jones came out after and won the match, so that was okay, you know. So, let's continue on now with WrestleMania 10. We talked about WrestleMania 20. I know we talked last week about WrestleMania 30.
Right.
So, I mean, WrestleMania 10, you know, being a little kid watching that and saying, well, I mean, some of the matches were long and I didn't have that good of attention span. I actually really enjoyed the ladder match now that I see it. I think Vince's concept of a triple threat would lead into 20 and 30 because of Yokozuna, Lex Luger, and Bret Hart. But it is what it is, but it could have been a lot better in a triple threat. And then, of course, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, one of the biggest highlights of the night. You know, ladder match. First time at WrestleMania. Not the first time ever. So Bret Hart can relax. You know. But it was, you know, it was a good show. You had appearances by Roddy Piper in the main event and Mr. Perfect, you know, being referees to, well, Mr. Perfect referee to Lex Luger and Yokozuna, and which of course continued sort of their feud from WrestleMania 9. And then Roddy Piper in the main event, Bret Hart and Yokozuna. WrestleMania 10 was really good.
Yeah.
So, before we go, is there any other WrestleManias that you want to talk about that you enjoyed or you didn't enjoy that much?
Well, talk about WrestleMania 4 and WrestleMania 10. Another one I had that I thought was pretty cool was 13.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? That was kind of when the Attitude Era started. Because look at the match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. And they go in, and by the end, it's a reverse. Bret Hart turns heel, and Steve Austin turns babyface.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Ken Shamrock being the special guest referee. To me, that was awesome. You know, Undertaker and Sid. I mean, I really enjoyed it. What did you like about WrestleMania 13?
Just the overall card itself was really, really good.
Yes.
I mean, like you said, you got Bret and Austin, you got Taker and Sid, and then you got, I can't remember what other matches there were, but just overall it was really, really well done.
Yeah, I mean, and that was WrestleMania too. Like I said, there was a point where I had stopped watching wrestling, but that kind of got me back into watching it again. Of course, by that time, the Attitude Era happened, and things changed drastically, so I mean... But... my voice is getting really fucking sore. And I hate colds.
Yeah, really.
But... this was actually a pretty good concept. I think you're really gonna like the video. But... next week... I won't be back to normal. We could do WrestleMania and NXT TakeOver New Orleans. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. I mean, some of the matches a lot of people think are not worth it, but I think they're gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And no, I don't want Roman Reigns to main event again, so fuck that noise. I really think Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles can do an awesome job.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you saw this week in WWE, but you saw it on Raw. You had the interview with Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But this has been another episode of Wheels of Fury. And like I said, I'll feel better by next week, and we'll be talking about WrestleMania 34 and NXT TakeOver New Orleans. So, anything else you want to add?
Well, I will say the TakeOver card is looking to be something to watch with the...
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll get more into it next week, but they're going to introduce a new championship to NXT, and the card I think will be a good one. It'll be interesting to see who ends up challenging Fish and O'Reilly for the tag titles. Will it be like offers of pay?
Yeah, it'll be awesome. I can't wait to see what happens. And we'll talk to you soon.